performances. We'll have to see how the U.S. fares against Costa Rica, Canada against Guatemala, Mexico against Saudi Arabia, in Panama against Honduras in the quarterfinals. Let's start with Mexico against Saudi Arabia here on Saturday. There was some unfortunate news from the Mexican national team at camp confirming that Luis Chavez has torn his ACL in training. That injury he suffered yesterday. Herc, how does this affect Javier Aguirre's plans moving forward?
Well, if we go to the immediate, the best the Mexican national team has looked under Javier Aguirre was this last game against Costa Rica, where they absolutely dominated Costa Rica at times, and Luis Chavez was a big reason of that. He's a player who I would say was the lone bright spot in the 2022 World Cup. He scored a wonderful free kick for Mexico. He was one of the very few players that actually did well, and he was doing well post-World Cup until I would say about his move to Russia. And when he moved to Russia, it was out of sight, out of mind, and he lost that national team spot. And then this last game, he was inserted alongside Marcel Ruiz and Edson Alvarez right behind him. And I thought he was fantastic, a big reason of why Mexico looks so good. And here you are thinking, wow, this is something. And he gets injured. He's 29 years old. He tears his ACL. It's a little less than a year out from the World Cup. He could theoretically come back and still be part of this team, but this is a massive blow for Javier Aguirre, who's looking for answers in that midfield, looking for cohesion in that 11. And if you're Luis Chavez, you just found your spot. You just regained it, and you're in the middle of a potential transfer with Tigres, which is now going to go out the window at 29 years of age. So it's a rough position for Luis Chavez, who's an absolutely great player, and Javier Aguirre, who was looking for answers and thought he found one.
When we were talking about the things that we could conclude from that game against Costa Rica, first thing I thought was Javier Aguirre has finally found his midfield moving forward. That was it. Edson Alvarez playing that number 6 position, even dropping back and playing as a third center back, and giving Luis Chavez and Marcel Ruiz some freedom to create. And they're a perfect match. They're a perfect fit. One is right-footed, the other one is left-footed, and both have a lot of dynamic to go box to box. And according to Mauricio Imay, who's our reporter with the national team for ESPN Deportes, that he said that Javier Aguirre internally told his staff, this is it. We found our midfield for the World Cup. So it is a big blow. We obviously wish Luis Chavez speedy and full recovery. He was also close to signing with Tigres. So he was actually going to make the move back to Liga MX.
That's tough.
We have to wait and see what's going to happen with that move. But clearly for Luis Chavez, devastating blow. For the national team, it is going to be, Chris, a big, big loss.
It's never obviously a good time to get injured. It's tough too when you're a little less than a year out of the World Cup, because you do feel that pressure, Ale, to come back. But when it comes to the pressure that Mexico needs or feels right now when it comes to this next match, what do you expect from Javier Aguirre and company against Saudi Arabia?
A struggle. Ideally, what you would want to see from Mexico would be a dominant performance. Thorough in their possession. Quality of possession through that midfield, dynamic movement in the attack, Santi Jimenez, this guy and the other guy, and okay. And the reality is that right now, nothing is easy for Mexico. It's a struggle. And even the games in which they seem to be dominating, which they did against Costa Rica, then they cannot put the ball in the back of the net, and so that frustration comes back, and that lack of confidence starts showing up, and all the criticism gets hot and heavy, and Javier Aguirre, what are we going to do? Is this the answer? So on and so forth. If I'm Mexico, all I'm looking for is advancing. Advancing. Just winning the game. Continue to build on the things that you think you're doing well. Somehow try to ignore all the conversation around this team and just focus on very basic things. And if you have a chance in front of you, put it away. If you have a chance to play a penetrating pass, do that with confidence. And I cannot believe that I'm talking in these basic terms about the Mexican national team, but I think they have to do those things well before we start talking about this team potentially dominating games at this stage of the competition. They should beat Saudi Arabia, and I expect them to beat Saudi Arabia, but it's not going to be easy. it's going to be a struggle. And wait, copy paste. This may just be the same conversation about the United States coming up.
You make my job so easy. That was a perfect, seamless transition
Thank you.
into the U.S. men's